Hello everyone and welcome to Clay Formations. I trust you had a great Halloween. Unfortunately right now we're dealing with a bit of post-Halloween depression. After all, there's over 300 more days until next Halloween. However, we've got to pull ourselves together. So, let's go around the studio and let's see if we can gather up some stuff for our next project. Okay, we'll need one of these and one of these. Oh, gotta have one of these. Dude, are you still sulking? Come on, snap out of it. We've got to get going on our next project. So, some of this, and this, and this, and this. It's time to get our gnome on. Okay, we have our base with the hole in it. We have a hole in the top and the bottom of the body, and a little piece of wire for it to fit into. Let's go ahead and glue that on. Then we'll glue the body to the base. There we go, that's looking pretty good. Then we'll take some wire and using the cone as a guide, leaving enough wire on the bottom to stick on the top of his head so that way the hat stays on. I'm kind of using the cone as a guide instead of the actual cone itself, because I want it to have a little bit of a curvy wave at the tip, so we'll just cover it in aluminum foil and see if we can give his hat a little more character. Fold up some more aluminum foil and roll it some more. Then we'll check it out and see what it looks like. I think we're going to have to add some more because that just looks like a silver chili pepper. So let's roll up some more aluminum foil. Test it out again. Shape it out a little bit. Well, I don't know. I guess it's a start. What we'll do now is we'll just secure everything down with some Epoxyy Sculpt. It's not quite ready. Still not ready. That's how we want it. Then we'll take the Epoxyy Sculpt and put it all around the armature to make it look more cone shaped, and that should give us a nice strong base to work with. But before we add the clay, we have to give it a nice coat of liquid Sculpey all over the armature so the clay has something to stick to. Just working it all into the crevices there. And then, hey, who turned the lights out? Oh, there we go, that's better. Now to cover Pete the Pumpkin Pie Gnome in clay. Okay, this is probably my least favorite part. Number one, because it's what I call the ugly stage of the sculpture. But this stage determines how your details are going to be in the end. The problem with me is I want to go right to the details, go right to the fun part, but unless you do this part first, your details aren't going to work. I will say that I did find another good batch of clay. This stuff was pretty smooth. At this point here, I'm really glad that I didn't go with the straight cone. I'm glad I gave his hat a little bit of character there. I do like the squiggle. Okay, right about here, you see that right there? That's an air bubble. That happens a lot when you do this. So you have to cut the air bubble, you have to slice it open, and then force the air out. Otherwise, you're going to take a chance on either a crack or a rupture right there when it bakes. And sometimes that will make you say dirty words, and I don't want to be responsible for making you say dirty words. So let's plot out our center line and where the nose line will be, and then we'll size the nose up. Then I'll remove the nose, and then I'll begin to block out the beard. Start out pretty good, but then I figured, well, I think he might need a little bit more beard on the side. I think that'll work for now. So before I go any further, I'll go ahead and dig out the area where we want the nose to be. Go ahead and add the nose on it. We'll put his hat rim right there. Now we'll make a center line right there, not a behind. We're going to make his hair kind of go down into a ducktail. That is not a butt. I want to make that clear. It's where the hair is going to meet, not his butt hair. Sorry. Gosh, why do I always go there? I have no idea. Anyway, what I'm doing is I wanted to make the hair look like strands that go into a ducktail behind his hat. And then I wanted the beard to look full. So that's what I'm doing here. So now that we've got the hair and the beard all blocked out, let's go ahead and make the shoes, because the shoes will have to be put in before I do the details on the beard. I use the little cookie cutter because that way I can get both pieces of clay exactly the same size. That way I don't have to worry about making one bigger than the other. Now we'll give the shoes some soul, because all shoes need some soul. And if shoes don't have soles, that means they're dead, and your feet get wet, and that's not good. I'm going to add some texture to them because I want them to look like Ugg boots. And there's your Ugg boots with an added bit of soul. Now we'll add his shoes right under his beard, and we'll mark a little holy hole where his hands are going to go. Now what I need to do is I need to taper the hat to the beard a little bit so the hat flows over the nose the right way. You know what? The more I look at these shoes, the more I don't like them. So let's take those off and get him a new pair. And I think these look more like Uggs, in my humble opinion anyway. Now we're still not quite ready to add any details, so let's add a little bit more hair around where his shoes are. And then we're going to mark out where his hands are going to be. That's a little holdout area so I don't make the hat too big. Now we'll mark out where the edge of the hat's going to be. See, this is why I needed those little hand markers there. Now I'll start defining where the beard and the hair will come out from under the hat. This is the part of the sculpture where you are kind of brutish with the sculpture. Basically what you're doing is you're just pushing and shoving the clay where you need it to be. You're not being very refined. You just need to get it into the position, and then once you get it there, then you can start adding the finer details. You start out brutish, and then you end up with delicate light touches, just kissing the clay with the tools. But you shouldn't kiss the clay yourself with your lips because that's gross and you might end up getting a little sick. No, actually you will get sick, so don't kiss your clay. So you go from this right here. With a little work, you end up with that. Now we created his beard with one solid piece of clay, so I'm going to take this sharp tool right here and I'm going to subtract from the bulk of the beard in order to differentiate between the back of the hair and the beard. I wanted the beard to be a little more full and a little more controlled and have it taper down between his feet, whereas the back, I wanted the back to be sort of wild and feathery and taper down to the back of the base. So it really just depends on whatever look you're trying to accomplish, and that will determine what technique you wanted to use. I could have made the beard the same way I made the hair in the back, but I didn't think it would have the same effect, and I think I was able to accomplish a difference between what his hair looked like and his beard looked like, and maybe even give a hint to what his actual anatomy looked like under the hair. Of course, we can't see what he looks like because he's covered in hair, and the only thing he has is his little hand sticking out. Speaking of hand sticking out, we can just pull those little spacers out and we can start working on the rim of his hat. This is what I really think is neat about working with clay. 90% of his hat is established and we need a rim. So really all you have to do is take a strip of clay, put it around the edge, and then blend the top of the hat in with the rim, and before you know it, you've got something that looks exactly like a gnome hat. It's just an exercise in something that may look difficult and hard, but really it's just as simple as a small strip of clay. And of course a few texturizing brushes to give his hat some nice texture. Looks like this guy's ready to bake. So let's put him on a tray and let's take a trip to the oven. So while Pete's baking in the oven, we need to make a couple of things. The first thing we'll need to make is a plate. So I'll cut it out with the cutter, smooth it out a little bit. Then I'll take that same cutter but use the other side to create a little ridge. Then I'm going to put it over this little bottle here to create the lip of the plate. Now I'll take it off to bake. Now the second thing we need to make is a coffee mug. So I'll take a wooden dowel and put some tape around it. I'll take some clay and wrap it around the dowel. We'll smooth out the edge there. Cut a clean line along the bottom, pull off the excess, and we got a nice little cup. Last year I made a hot chocolate mug for Nick the Christmas Gnome, and I didn't put a wire armature in the cup handle. Wasn't sure if this one was going to be able to hold the weight of the cup, so I went ahead and put an armature inside the cup handle. So we'll attach the cup handle to the mug and blend it in, and we will take this off to bake. I was hoping that would come off okay. So I'll go ahead and sand the edges a little bit, take those rough edges off. Here's the cup all baked. Let's see if we can get it off the dowel. Sweet, but now we need to put a bottom on it to hold the coffee. So I'll take some sandpaper and rough up the bottom a little bit, wipe off the dust. Then we'll take the cutter to make the bottom of the cup. Make sure it fits. Now we'll take some liquid Sculpey and attach the bottom to the cup. And then blend it in. Now I'll take my big ball stylus and make that part of the cup that collects all the water from the dishwasher to get all the rest of your dishes wet. I think that looks pretty good. So I needed to make a ring that goes on the bottom of the plate. So overthinking things as I do, not being able to make a ring even all the way around, I used 2 cutters to make a nice little clay ring. Not too bad. Now we'll put the ring on the bottom of the plate and we'll blend it in. I have no idea what these rings are for other than the fact that it might be to keep them from wobbling, or it could just be another conspiracy to collect dishwasher water and get the rest of your dishes wet. I don't know. I'll leave that for you to decide. Now let's make him a set of hands. This is the second set of hands that I made. I made a first set with armature wire and it didn't work, so I'm just going to go ahead and make a second set of hands so that I can wrap the fingers around the cup handle and the other hand holding the plate. Just another example of me making things more complicated than they really need to be. This is just a piece of wire to put in the holy holes that we put on the side of his hair. Now here I'm putting the 4 fingers underneath the plate and then 1 thumb over the top of the plate. And I was a little bit concerned about the thumb. I hope it doesn't break because there's going to be something on top of it. So what we'll do is we'll just cross our fingers and our thumbs and hope for the best. I'm going to take a little bit of aluminum foil, put it inside the cup, and then take some Epoxy Sculpt and then put it over the aluminum foil just to make sure that the cup isn't too heavy. Now I'll go ahead and put a coat of paint on the cup and the plate. Actually, it was several coats of paint and several color changes, and I'm just going to spare you that. So let's just go on ahead and give old Pete a paint job. We'll start with the nice fall color of orange. That looks like a nice fall orangey orange. Now we'll go ahead and give his Uggs a little earthy tan tone. And don't forget to paint the soles. Now that we've painted the soles a wonderful shade of tan, we'll go ahead and paint the top part of the base, and then give his beard and hair a lovely fall shade of brown, being extremely careful not to get any brown on his nose. Just forget I said that, please. Now we'll finish off the hair, and then we'll go ahead and paint his hands, being really careful not to get any paint on the cup or the plate. Hopefully I can do it. Do you think I can do it? Let's take a look at this and see if I can. Just gotta take it real easy and slow. And eventually, you have some nice painted fingers without any paint on the plate. Now let's give his beard and his hair a little bit of dry brushing with a lovely fall shade of tan. And what fall piece wouldn't be complete without a gold band around the base? And then a nice fall shade of purple on the bottom. You know, his hat looks kind of plain. Let's give him some fall brown stripes all the way up his hat. I used my brush as a measurement for the thickness of the stripes. I really wasn't confident in doing it freehand. I thought maybe I could just take the brush and just go, around the hat. I said no, I want to measure it and mark out the places where the stripes are going to be. And here we go. You can tell that the paint doesn't cover very well. I had to do about 3 or 4 coats, I think. So I'm glad I went ahead and marked the stripes with the pencil. And to define the stripes even more, I went ahead and used the fall color of black. Black is a fall color, right? I think it is. It's sort of a holdover from Halloween. Black, orange, fall. So yeah, I'm on the right track, I think. Now we'll paint his big old nose a fall shade of peach. Then we'll paint the inside of his coffee cup. That's the way I like my coffee right there, so strong it won't even come out of the cup. Now we'll attach the cup and the plate. Now you can't have Pete the pumpkin pie gnome without his piece of pumpkin pie, so that's what I'm going to attempt to do. My first try at making a real piece of pumpkin pie. I have no clue how to do it, but I'm going to give it my best shot. And this is brown pastel powder, not cinnamon. Now I'm going to take some translucent Sculpey and make a little bit of crust. You know, that does kind of look a little bit like crust. So I'll cut off the edges. And I made this part right here too short. I forgot about the little squiggly part that goes around the edge of the pumpkin pie. So I made a little squiggly part. I'm sure there's a technical name for what it is, but I have no clue. There is one thing that I'm sure of though. It is a sin to eat pumpkin pie without whipped cream. It's in the Bible somewhere. Thou shalt not eat pumpkin pie without whipped cream. Thus says the Lord. Now we'll give him a big old P for Pete on his coffee cup and give his piece of pumpkin pie a nice silky gloss coat. And then we'll take this big beautiful piece of pumpkin pie and serve it up for Pete the pumpkin pie gnome. Now if he only had a fork. Hey everyone, if you've made it this far, you're the kind of person that would want to eat the pumpkin pie before the turkey and the stuffing. And I like that about you, because I'm the same way. On a more serious note, I want you guys to have a wonderful Thanksgiving, spend time with your friends and your family, eat as much food as you want to without worrying about the calories, because you can take care of that in January with your New Year's resolution. I just want to say that I am so thankful for each and every one of you. Everybody take care, and we'll see you next time.